Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. First tonight, frustrated Tasmanians have packed out Hobart Town Hall, making their voices loud and clear for the Mac Point Stadium to be dumped. New polling also showing most residents are opposed to it. The government isn't backing down though, showing off shiny new images of the divisive project.
Banding together with a clear message, Tasmanians giving the thumbs down for the proposed Macquarie Point Stadium at a public meeting, watching politicians line up to take a swipe at the state government's controversial project.
When it comes to that bloody stadium, mate, you can stick it fair where it fits.
The community do not want it, the community do not need it, and the community cannot afford it.
Even acclaimed writer Richard Flanagan giving his 2 cents on the development, which leading economist Nicholas Gruen found will cost over $1 billion. His report central to the discussion.
The stadium eats Tasmania's very future. It is a destroyer of our society if it is allowed to go ahead.
The case for the stadium also taking another hit. A new EMRS poll showing many Tasmanians surveyed are against it. Northern Tasmanians, the most dissatisfied with the project.
This confirms what we already know, and anyone who's been on the streets door knocking knows that the hostility towards the Rockcliffe government and $1 billion stadium is deep.
But younger generations found to be in favour of the stadium, and the government still is too, with a lot riding on it.
So let's be really clear. No stadium, no team.
On his Facebook page, the Premier debuting new video renders of what the proposed site might look like.
We're talking thousands of jobs, we're talking hundreds of apprenticeships, and we're talking massive opportunities ongoing in tourism, hospitality and other sectors.
It's got the tick of approval from the opposition.
We support the stadium. Jeremy Rockcliffe said it's $375 million and not a red cent more. We're trying to hold him to account for that.
Much to the disappointment of independent Christy Johnston.
They went to the last state election opposing the stadium. They dropped it like a hot potato less than 2 months after the election. They're not representing the community. They're not acting like an opposition or an alternative government.
Those on both sides of the debate showing no signs of throwing in the towel anytime soon.
We will fight and we will win.
A fight that's far from over. Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, Launceston's urgent care clinic will soon open longer. Seeing an average of 47 patients a day, the clinic is one of Australia's busiest, but only opens afternoons most days. Federal Health Minister Mark Butler promising to change that on a second Tassie trip in 4 days.
Opening those extra hours is going to mean we can see more patients, we can treat more people and we can reduce the burden on the emergency department even more than we do already.
The clinic will open between 9 a.m. to 8 p.m 7 days a week, but not until July after the election. A teenager is in a critical condition at the Royal Hobart Hospital after being struck by a car in the Huon Valley. The incident occurred around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon at a notoriously dangerous intersection on the Huon Highway near Mountain River Road. It caused hefty delays for motorists as emergency services attended the scene. Police investigations are continuing. A Warrane man accused of shaking and dropping a baby into a cot has told the Supreme Court he just wants the matter over and done with during a brief appearance. Daniel John Ridges has pleaded guilty to manslaughter for the death of 10-month-old Kaylin Butler in November 2023. He is expected to have his sentence delivered on Thursday afternoon, but until then he remains in custody. A private health provider says it will ramp up services for an extra 400 expectant mothers following Healthscope's decision to close a Hobart private maternity ward in 6 months. The race now on to boost the number of birthing suites at Calvary Hospital.
A last-minute lifeline. Catholic health provider Calvary committing to taking in as many women needing to give birth as possible, despite no plans to expand its Lenna Valley facility.
We will need to reconfigure how we actually deal with the mums coming through the maternity wards.
It comes after expectant mothers learnt of Healthscope's plans to ditch maternity services at Hobart Private come August 20. The not-for-profit admits it'll have to make modifications when it comes to beds, birthing suites and equipment to accommodate an extra 460 new mothers.
We do around about 380, 390 births a year now. We do that within about 4 birthing suites and obviously the requisite beds. That's obviously going to more than double over the foreseeable future.
Part of the solution is state government support. The public system encouraged to take on expectant mothers where it can.
Private health services are the responsibility of the federal government, and we'll be working closely with them to ensure that that support is made available.
Insurers need to come to the party as well to ensure that those families who have laid down their hard-earned cash, that they're looked after as well.
Calvary's confident none of the hospital's other medical services will be impacted by the increased demand set to be put on its maternity ward, with a transition plan set to be in place soon to ensure patients are properly cared for. Crippling workforce shortages also expected to prove a problem. Discussions over the next 6 months hope to see training fast-tracked for new midwives.
We'll work with them to transition them, the obstetricians, the paediatricians and all of the different workforce elements that are required.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Our state continues to set the pace when it comes to organ donations, but demand still outweighs supply. Last year was the busiest on record for Donate Life Tasmania, recording a rate of 43 donors per million people, up 18% on the previous year. Shane Gilbert was one of the recipients, receiving his liver transplant after being diagnosed with cancer.
Managed to let a little child survive too. I took 3/4 of the liver and I think 1/4 went to the child. So that was one thing that was fantastic for me.
There's about 1,800 people waiting for transplants. There's 14,000 people on dialysis at the moment that love to come off dialysis if they've got a kidney transplant.
The group now encouraging more Tasmanians to join the organ donor register. The government's looking to crack down on dodgy builders, with new laws giving the regulator more powers to come after those caught doing faulty building work or other deceptive practices. Under the proposed changes, the Administrator of Occupational Licensing would be able to caution, suspend or cancel building licences more quickly.
We need to make sure that we're able to take fair, timely, transparent action against those that are doing the wrong thing.
It's important that we have a system that's strong, that's robust and that can hold the sector accountable.
The government says it receives a complaint every day about unethical practices in the industry. There are renewed calls for the proposed Robbins Island wind farm to be rejected after a new report identified the area is vital for the endangered orange-bellied parrot. Tasmanian researcher Dr Eric Waller found the island acts as a residence for the bird species, recommending the renewable energy installation be relocated, and independent Craig Garland agrees, urging the federal government to step in.
This is the wrong place. You know, it's not rocket science. It's either right location or wrong location, or good practice or bad practice.
A Federal Environment Department spokesperson says a project is still being assessed. We will continue to see purple e-scooters lining the footpaths around Hobart, the City Council voting to allow hire and ride operations to stay. Despite concerns around improper parking and injuries, the majority of councillors decided the devices have positive effects on traffic and provide a low-cost transport option. The issue will return to Council after an audit of where the use of e-scooters should be restricted.
Tasmanian product Taron Thomas is doing all he can for a footy lifeline. The 24-year-old landing in WA today for a 2-week trial with State League club Swan Districts. It's due to AFL-imposed restrictions on Thomas, not allowing him to play for an AFL-aligned club in the State Leagues. It comes after he was sacked by North Melbourne and deregistered over a string of complaints about harassment towards women. 8 straight premierships is quite a feat, and now Georgetown will go down in history when their legendary team is inducted into AFL Tasmania's Hall of Fame later this month. The incredible run in the NTFA from 2002 to 2009 sparked immense celebrations back then as the trophy cabinet filled up. It also ended a long dry spell. The club hadn't played a senior grand final since 1993. Back home with a mixed bag of results from Adelaide, calculations are still running through the Tigers' heads about just how a 93-run first-inning annihilation of the Sackers, including 6 wickets from Kieran Elliott, didn't pave the way for a Tassie Shield win.
Look, cricket's a funny game. Obviously, Brendan Doggett bowled an incredible spell up the top in that first inning, so he got 6 as well. So that second innings, we weren't able to create the chances and obviously spent the better part of 120 overs bowling.
All-rounder Niv Radhakrishnan has been proving his utility with bat, ball and in the field since his call-up back to state level. Hoping 2 wickets on his List Day debut on Sunday will make him a more regular fixture.
When you're on those fringes, it's, I guess, hard sometimes. You can get lost. It's okay if I don't play. Still make sure I'm learning and actually getting better, because I still, especially after my List Day debut, I still now have that many more things that I want to actually get better at.
The Tigers have some downtime now with one final chance to keep the Shield dream alive next week. A field goal from Hobart's Jack Welsh set the Kookaburras on the right path for an upset against the world number 2 side. The 3-1 win at the FIH Pro League in Argentina is the first time Australia has beaten Belgium in 6 years. The men's 3rd win lifts them to 5th on the ladder. And Hobart teen tennis sensation Alicia Dale's Launceston International campaign has come to an end in the first round, losing to China's Han Yu Gua 6-3, 6-love. In the men's, Cruz Hewitt moves on to the round of 16, fighting back from a first set defeat against fellow Aussie qualifier Ethan Cook. And that's tonight in sport, Kim.
OK, thanks, Nick. Well, Peter Murphy will join us after the break with the weather forecast.
Good evening. Fine and partly cloudy conditions today as summer starts to wind down. Hobart a top of 22, Launceston and Bushy Park the warmest, 26, Devonport 22 and Burnie a high of 21 degrees. Temperatures around average. Grove got to 25, Friendly Beaches and King Island 23, Flinders Island, St Helens 22, Low Head and Lyowini 21 and Strawn 19. Scattered cloud over the southwest today, a little more over the central north and northeast, but no rain of any note to report. The high over the Bight has low cloud to our west, cloud still evident up the east coast of the country and the far north. Tropical cyclone Alfred remains over the Coral Sea, Bianca dropping southwards near WA. Let's have a look at the map for tomorrow. A high pressure zone moves well off to the east of Tasmania. The cold front getting ready to cross the state. Another high over the Bight. Northwest and northeasterly winds will turn west-southwesterly at 20 to 30 knots tomorrow evening. We do have a strong wind warning for the southeast. That's from Wineglass Bay to southeast Cape. Hobart tomorrow 29 and partly cloudy. Geeveston sunny and 27, partly cloudy for Bothwell and 29 degrees. Bit of sunscreen for those heading to the Launceston Cup, 27 the maximum for the big day tomorrow. Devonport partly cloudy and 23 and 26 for Cressy. Burnie expecting 23 and partly cloudy. A late shower for Strawn, fine most of the day, 25 the top, 25 also for Curry. St Helens partly cloudy 26, warming right up to 29 in Swansea and 27 for Orford. On Thursday, fine and partly cloudy, slight chance of a shower in the north, showers in the west on Friday pushing over the south for a short while, and on Saturday fine apart from showers over the west. Tops of 31 in Perth and Adelaide tomorrow, Melbourne sunny and 34 degrees, 33 for Canberra, a partly cloudy day in Sydney, Brisbane 31 and toasty over the far north as well. Clear conditions at the moment, 18 degrees in Hobart, 24 right now in Launceston, Devonport currently 18 degrees. Just remember, Kim, something's popped up. I won't be in tomorrow night.
Oh, off to the Cup, that's what you were doing, but I'm sure we'll manage without you. We regularly do. Well, that wraps up tonight's news. As always, thanks for joining us. Good night, everyone.